So Mr. Suresh is again a good friend of mine and a good entrepreneur. So I would say he heads up Bhakta Farms and he is known for creating new ideas in Bangalore. And he is a very active member of National Egg Coordination Committee. So he is an energetic entrepreneur to showcase. Last ED we showcased Manikyam. So he would be rated among the best performers and best farmers in the country. So all over to Suresh for the idea which you want to give on layer farming.
Morning, doctor. Morning, everyone on the panelist. I'm sorry I couldn't log in earlier.
No issue, no
Uh,
issue.
I started my hello.
Yeah, we can hear
You're
you.
audible. You're
Yeah,
audible.
I started. I am a qualified mechanical engineer, and I started my career in poultry farm in the year 1994. Before, prior to that, I had started a shrimp rearing business in Andhra. After that, we came to poultry in the year 94 in Bangalore with a batch size of 25,000 birds, batch size of 5,000 and farm size of 25,000. Farm capacity was expanded to 60,000 years in the year 2000 at the same facilities later on. Shifted to Mysore in the year 2050 with a current capacity of 150,000 birds. I generally want to I don't want to go into marketing, major marketing. I am more into managing the present farm bird in the present conditions. How do you manage the farm thing? How do you get the best out of the bird? Dr. B.V. Rao has given us a very good bird with a very good legacy, with getting a very good enhanced. So it is our responsibility to get that potential out of the bird. So I'm just putting on the slides, and as the slides goes, I just explain it to what I am doing in my farm. So wherein it can help entrepreneurs in the future how to grow. Pullet rearing is one aspect. Pullet rearing, I always tell my fellow farmers, you get your chicks early in the morning, because early in the morning when the chicks come in, we open the side curtains and all, the sunlight is available. In a sunlight, the chicks are more active due to the sunlight, and they are more active than when you bring your chicks early in the late in the night and in the closed light or tube light and all. The availability of light is less. So the first step is you have that. And then you have to have a dedicated team with experience in preparing the brooder shed and handling day-old chicks. That you have to build it from beginning. Your general practice is there when the brooding shed is empty, they shift those workers to some other place and they don't train them properly, or they send them out. You need a dedicated team in the brooding shed. That is just like sapling a small sapling, planting a small sapling. You have to start from there. Next is trained in-house vaccination team. No one nowadays is thinking about that. With the prevailing disease scenario, I think it is high time people and companies also started thinking about having a dedicated in-house vaccinating team which can be readied by the companies. Modern practices to ensure maintenance optimum temperature of 30 to 34 degrees. Even now, people never think about that. They go by the thumb rule. Because of that, mortalities are more. During this past 1 month, because of the temperature increase, the mortalities have gone up. The mortalities have gone up in most of the farms. But with my farm, in my farm, I have controlled for a 32,000 batch farm. My mortality in the first week is hardly 200 chicks, and with the towing. That is the way. Then it has to be maintained batch to batch, not one off. You have to set targets and try to achieve the targets. That is one more thing. And rich feed processed in-house to ensure optimum quality and clean treated water supply. No one does that nowadays. In fact, in my farm, I have got an E. coli problem in my borewell. I am using BLCO2 daily morning. Every day morning or during the evenings, I load my overhead tanks. In the night, I put the tablets. Next day morning, I pump the water into my sheds, individual sets. I have put in submersible pumps into my tanks, overhead tanks. From there to individual sheds, I pump it. And then next is process of manure to avoid buildup of flies and ensure clean environment from the chicks. The basic problem nowadays is most of the farmers try to go in for chick mash pellets from outer sources. What is happening is because of the higher fear cost, most of them use molasses or other additives for the feed to get it to break the cost down. But what happens from day old, the fly starts coming into a chick shed. That is where we have to stop the flies. So we don't build up from the chick stage. Next is timely shifting to grower shed about around 8 weeks of age. That is very critical and we have to stick to that. Next slide. I want to go to the next. Grower birds, in these grower birds, best practices. Energy rich and balanced feed to attain optimum body weight. Continuous monitoring of body weight starting at 3 weeks of age to ensure optimum structure formation. In a chick, until 10 weeks, the structure, bone structure goes. Until 10 weeks, if we take care of our chicks properly, we have the required body weight by 10th or 11th week. Whatever happens afterwards also, to a large extent, we can again recoup the chick back to laying cycle. Growth by using formation and growth by using chick mash up to 10th and 11th week as per body weight attained. I generally use chick mash up to 10th and 11th week, depending on the body weight, because seasonally temperature and factors are there. So we vary it, but I don't change my chick mash at all. I always keep it to the same formulation. And for precise body weight measurement, a minimum of 1.2% of the flock population must be weighed, while also making sure the same exact birds are weighed every time throughout the life cycle of the flock. When I start from 3rd week, the same birds in the cages, I will be shifting it to the grower, from the grower to the layer. And the same birds, I will be weighing it even in my last, before culling also. So this gives us the correct uniform body weight. If you go on changing the cages and the birds, we can't get to that. And avoid disturbing of birds to reduce flightiness. And again, from the same thing, grower shed, shifting of layer birds from the layer shed 14 to 15 weeks of age. Next, coming to the layer bird best practices. I'll spend some more time here. This is where all our caches come in. Provide age and body weight based feed formula to maintain proper body weight and birds and ensure peak productivity. I want to just tell you an example what happened recently in my farm around 4 months back. One of my batches in the growing stages, the vaccinators, they didn't debeak it properly. And at 16 weeks of age, the body weight was 350 grams less than the record standard. But I could get my 90%, I start my 90% production of the eggs in that flock at 21 weeks. That was purely because at 16th week of age, every week I enhanced the quality of the feed, like high energy. So like if the chicks were eating, the birds were eating around 70 grams, I saw to that in that 70 grams, whatever was required for the bird to put on the body weight, what was given in the record, plus another 30 grams by adding oil to it. Added oil up to a stage of 20 kgs per ton of feed. And most of my feed formulation is based on maize, soya, shell grit, and DORB. I don't use any other additive because any other ingredients. Most probably I may use GN if the quality is good and the proteins are good. Otherwise, I don't change my formula. In my laying cycle, I've got a thumb rule which is 580 maize, 180 soya, and rest the filling material is DRB and stone grit. Balance the essential ammonia acids and control the feed intake to the birds. Even in this temperature at Mysore now, my farm is in Mysore now. Even in this temperature, the birds I'm only giving 115 grams to 116 grams per bird daily. That is the thing what we have to do. Basically, before starting all these, layer shed has to be constructed on an elevated base to facilitate ventilation of and drying of manure. That is the first thing every farmer entrepreneur who wants to get into this industry, make the basic layout of the whole farm, see that the sheds are on a little bit elevated platform around the surrounding areas, and particularly to the places where there are heavy rainfall, so that the water drains. What happens is when the menus are dry in the sheds, even if the water levels are not flowing, it starts absorbing moisture from the ground. So wherein we lose our manure quality. Regular grading of birds to ensure uniform exercise and population production. Regular checks of bird body weight and blood titers to ensure bird immunity and health. The feed formulation must fulfill all nutrition requirements of the birds while maintaining prescribed quantities as per the age and production of the flock. What I meant this, I have already told. Depending on the body weight, you design your formulations. The birds is eating 90 grams, 290 grams, whatever it is required to put on the required body weight as per the record, and the additional body weight if you are lagging behind. You get the birds up to laying cycle, we can get 90% to 91% production in 21 weeks of age. That is the present capacity of the birds. The hatcheries are good. The hatcheries are particularly, I'm a one bird man. From the day I started my poultry farm, I have not used any other breed except BB300, because the thumb rule is never have two breeds in your farm. That is the basic thumb rule. It is a cardinal thumb rule which you have to follow from day one. Never have two breeds. So because of that, and this thing, you have to follow it up like this. The doctors, what the hatchery people say, we have to build a rapport with the doctors. If we do any mistake in our farms, we have to tell the doctors, this is the mistake what we have done. You give us a solution. You give us a program wherein we can rectify that. Until we find out what our mistakes are and keep on blaming it, putting the blame on the chick or the doctors or other personals, we can't get a good production out of our birds. And then, and one more thing, contrary to popular belief, providing ad-lib feed does not fulfill all the nutritional requirements of the bird to achieve high production and efficiency, as the majority of the micronutrients remained unconsumed. Most of the farms nowadays, layer farms nowadays, are not clean. That's why all the government agencies are coming in and trying to target us. We have to keep our farms clean and neat. And basically, the big problem with us is DORB. Since the DORB is fine mash, powderish, it flies in the air. Recently, I bought one of the cleaning companies to my farm and asked them, I want to keep my farm clean. And asked them any vacuum cleaners or any washers, spray washers, which can help me clean the dust and keep it clean. The first thing he told me is it was a German company. The first thing the manager told was, hello? First thing I did was, he told was, don't try to find a solution to your problem. Try to stop the problem arising. So he said was, stop putting in feed mash. You go in for pelleting. And you go in for pelleting, and when we came into that thing, what we decided was feeding them 4 to 5 times a day pellet mash. We won't have much problem. The birds will eat all the feeds with the micronutrients and the whole feed. Whereas if you give ad-lib them, the micronutrients, what we call dust, not dust, it's micronutrients. It is very critical to get the maximum out of the bird. That is where what we have, most of the farmers are losing out. So the productions are not high. Wherein my farms, one of my batches now at 66 weeks of age, it is giving me 90 93%, 92% production. That is the standards what I have achieved. That is purely because of my going into high energy, low protein and keeping my formulations to bare minimum. That is the thing. And then feed to be provided minimum 4 to 5 times of a day. Optimum consumption of all micronutrients in the feed. Manure processing is a must to ensure farm cleanliness and overall health of the farm. I'll come to that in the next this one. And these are all some critical practices what I have already told. Single breed farm, most important rule in layer farm, you have one breed of bird in a farm. And then next is quality control and testing. See, whatever material we bring into our farm, particularly the protein materials, we have to see those materials are in correct percentage. For example, I generally get 46% soya. But if I get a material which is around 44%, my production drops by around 2 to 2.5%. So that is where you, any new entrepreneur or anyone has to concentrate on, see that what he gets and what he puts to the bird. My one observation within this field is the bird never deceives the farmer. It is the farmer who deceives the bird and tries to get out of it without giving the best quality feed. If you take care of the birds, they will never deceive you. They will support you throughout its lifetime. And next is motivated workforce. This is becoming a huge factor in our layer farmers and also for the future entrepreneurs who are coming into, like already Dr. Ajay was saying, employees are our main support base. We have to give them education, give them responsibility so that they become future leaders and provide them skill-based training. That is the way we have to treat them and we have to look after them also. That way, if you have got a dedicated workforce who don't change year on year, most of my farm workers in Mysore now, they have come out from Bangalore. My Bihari group who mixes the feed in my feed go down, they have been with me for the past 20 years from Bangalore. That is the way we have to build a team. We have to support them and they in turn will try to give their best to us. That is one more aspect. Next is the manure management. Fly problem is a big issue wherever. Because of the fly problem, farms are not able to run properly. Lot of government rules and regulations considering pollutions are being bought in. Yes, if you don't keep our farms clean, it is going to happen. The fly from our farms has to be controlled. That has to be controlled by our farmers only. By good management practice, we can control a farm. Manure is also a very important source of income for the farmers, particularly the layer farmers. Generally, around 15 rupees to 20 rupees per bird is the income from a dry manure per year per bird. Generally, some people get good prices depending on the proximity to agricultural belts. And some people get a lesser thing, somewhere around 12 to 15. But you have a good manure management, it is going to help you out very well. The best thing is to see the nipples, going for nipple chain, good nipples, it doesn't leak. Then even if it leaks, daily monitoring the manure leakage and add sawdust or fly ash, or if the problem is more, you give a coating of lime dust to it, wherein the lime dust will kill the maggots which are growing in when it is in the very small stage. You have to manage it daily. You have to have 2-3 people going around your farms daily. I'm talking about big farms, huge farms around 400, 500 feet shed. They have to go daily. They have to go around their farms, see the manure condition, apply lime. And outside, we have our own medications like Tata Manik or anything. On day-to-day basis, if we control, we can easily control the fly and the manure problem. Next is data collection and analysis. While coming to this topic, the record announced what the standard announced given by our VHL guideline book is 327 to 328 announced at 72 weeks of age. have already achieved around 334 to 335 at 72 weeks of age. And from there, I have raised the culling age to 88 weeks to 89 weeks, 90 weeks, wherein I have achieved 425 to 415 enost, depending on the culling age. The difference in this is generally when you cull at 80 weeks of age, general farms will have a enost of 350. But if you take it up to 80 or 88 to 89 weeks, it goes up to 425. With good management of all the practices, what I have told, at high energy content feed and low protein content feed. And maintaining the feed, what you give to the bird at 115 grams. My maximum feed consumption is 115 to 116 grams per bird when the temperatures are in the range of 26 to 32 degrees. If it go above 32 degrees to 34 degrees, my consumption always comes down to 10 to 110 to 112 grams per day per bird. That is the feed consumption. We stick to the grams. We contain the feed we give to the bird. Per day, the bird has to eat all the feed, empty the feed trough, so that what we give, all the micronutrients goes to the bird and we take out the best out of it. That is the thing. And importance, next coming to the next thing is, the most important thing now is after we produce, after we achieve targets of production and everything, sales and marketing. Providing quality and value-added service and quality X to ensure long-term commitment and asset sales. We have to maintain the same trader. There may be little bit differences among us. Long-time traders have to be nurtured. We go on changing traders, then it is going to be a problem in egg sales. And we have to go in for value addition. That value addition is, big farms can now easily, which are close to the big cities, Bangalore, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Chennai, they can go in for eggs, boiled eggs cut into 3 slices and giving them a coat of breadcrumbs or corn crumbs, freeze drying it or frying it, air frying it, packing it in small sachets with their brand name, build it up with their brand name and keep marketing it to all these small kirana shops. Individual farmers, big farmers should do that. They should not depend on the big traders to come and take their collected egg, sell it and give the money back. They have to add value add to that egg. That is the most important thing. All farmers, big farmers should think in those line. They should not just send it to the market, call a trader, a commission agent, undersell their eggs. That is what's happening in the market now. That has to be avoided. Good grading and good quality of eggs will ensure egg sales even during the downtrend of the year. That is again one more aspect. The best egg gets sold first, also at a lesser cutting margin. Adequate biosecurity to be followed while dealing with traders' vehicles. You have to get your trader vehicle washed when it comes inside, and also branding of eggs through customized package, quality control while providing a marketing base you build on for future products such as processed eggs, which require good market reputation to be successful. Individual big farmers can build their brand. Slowly, overnight they can't do, they can build their brand. The importance of biosecurity. Biosecurity is the single most critical element in ensuring overall flock health. Biosecurity can only be ensured by motivated and trained employees who must be nurtured into responsible leaders. Shed-specific equipment to be provided to employees to avoid contamination. Egg trays and egg storage areas must always be designed immediately after contact with traders or supplier vehicles or any other outside personnel. The egg trays must be compulsorily washed as soon as it is touched by anyone outside the farm and then sent into the shed. Effective and diligent biosecurity practice and well-trained employees go a long way in mitigating any risk posed by prevalent diseases. Dealing and coming to the most important thing, dealing with fluctuating egg and feed prices. A layer farmer has no control over the egg or raw material prices and hence worrying about the price fluctuation is fruitless, and that energy should be focused on achieving consistent peak production and high NOS. That is the present day the scenario now. Our birds are able to give very high NOS. So we should try to achieve that. We should not go be happy with having an NOS of 300, 310. We should try to take the maximum out of the bird. The NOS should be what we should be aiming to take out is at 80 or 90 weeks, for 89, 88 to 90 weeks, around 425 to for 430x per bird announced. Maintaining flock health while also achieving high production over a period of up to 85 to 88 weeks can be achieved with the new breed of birds by providing high quality feed and effective management system to run the farm. This counters any fluctuation in price and ensures the farmer is always profitable. We have a good producing egg, good egg producing hen at 88 weeks, 90 weeks, good production. The rates also go down. We may not be hurt to that extent. Storing raw materials such as maize and soya, as well as forward trading during downtrends in rate, can help mitigate loss incurred due to high pressure to some extent. And now coming to the egg costing. Raw material makes the major chunk of a production of an egg. Up to 70% of the cost of produce an egg. Sourcing raw materials at a lower price should be done without compromising on the quality of the feed. So the control, instead of giving ad libitum feed to the bird, most of the farmers don't know how much feed they are giving the bird. That is the scenario now. We should know how much gram per bird is taking per day and what the output is. Then we'll know what we are losing, what we are getting. And bullet training cost is up to 10% of the total egg cost to produce. Next is the banking cost. It comes around to 13%. 13% is our banking cost. We find a good banker who gives at a very good interest rate. That's a huge saving for us. Finally, it comes around the other things, labor, electricity, water, miscellaneous add up to only 7% of the total cost of our production. And now finally coming to innovation required for layer farms in India. Majority of the current farms in India are open houses, California cages, and typically situated from the consumption centers, mainly due to financial constraints because of high land cost. Moving forward, layer farms will be required to move closer to consumption centers, as raw materials can be sourced from anywhere in the country without without any losses. But the final point of sale of egg must be close to the farm as possible to avoid losses due to breakage and easier transport to customers. When you are close to any consumption centers, your marketing capabilities increase. The people in the cities, the traders in the cities come close to farms which are closer to them. And you can have an advantage over the outside suppliers. All this helps you a lot. In order to move close to a automated battery cages with proper manure process and removal becomes an absolute necessary. That is the future, depending on what the government regulations are going to be. But we can achieve high production efficiencies, very high production efficiencies with battery cages. And the big problem with the open house California cages is the manure. With the present government argument that they say that it is manure should not be in the farm premises, we have to go for battery cages. After it is removed from the battery, we have to dry it. While the initial capital of battery cages precede they provide for themselves in the long run by ensuring high productivity, lower manpower requirements, and better manure process, all allowing for sustainable health and clean farm. Irrespective of distance from consumption center, it is the moral and ethical responsibility of a poultry farmer to ensure responsible manure processing and hence provide a clean environment for employees, bird, and any neighboring establishment. Skilled, well-trained labor will become a requirement in the near future, and poultry farmers must begin to provide training to convert existing unskilled employees to skilled assets to ensure a smooth transition into the future. Thank you for your time. Hello. Hello. Doctor, are you able to hear me, doctor?
Fantastic. As I told you, mechanical engineer understood the entire mechanics of layer farm.
Yes, doctor.
Where are the nuts? Where are the bolts? Where is the engine? And where to put a brake and how to really overhaul the bird rather than the machine. I always call this bird as a machine also, no? Because
yes, doctor. The bird is
1 point.
Hello.
Yeah. Please.
The bird, I have to be grateful to Dr. B.V. Roy for giving us such a wonderful bird and their team of people who are there even now, giving us the support, and also NECC for the platform it has given us and the good platform for us to work on and get a good prize, doctor. And really, I have to praise them.
Yeah, we're all grateful. I can say this is the great example for Atmanirbhar Bharat. I think no other country has done such a wonderful work of adapting a foreign bird and made it like a so good Indianized.